Here on and music. Hopefully we won't have trouble with the sound today. We had little tricky issues that I haven't quite figured out what was happening last time. So that said, we're ready to go. Let's have a seat. Putting your trackers on if you're using a tracker. Coming into your easy pose, and if you have a brick handy, you can sit on that brick to make your easy pose more comfortable. You can also sit on a pillow or a folded up blanket, anything like that. But if you're super tight in your hip flexors, this will definitely help. Let's go ahead and roll our shoulders back. And drop your shoulders down your back. Take a big breath in and spread your rib cage open. And exhale and just curve your chest down. We are going to be still for a moment, but we're just going to open up the chest a little bit first. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths there. Let's switch our song. Hopefully that's our sound fixed. Go ahead now, if you haven't already, close those eyes. Let your palms face up on your knees. Breathing in through your nose, and feel the air swish up through your sinuses and down into those rib cages, and let your lungs expand. And as you exhale, feel your diaphragm compress upwards into your ribs. Let that air get pushed out through your throat, through your sinuses, and back out through your nose. So we're using this restriction of breath, keeping it to the nose and really focusing on where the sensation is, in order to focus your mind, to give your mind something to stare at, as it were, instead of dancing all over the place. That way we're shifting our mood, shifting our intention to our breath. All right, let your arms float up on your next inhale. Exhaling through the nose, hands down the center line. Inhaling up the sides. Exhaling center. Go ahead and open your eyes on your next breath. And take your hands down to your hip flexors. So your hip flexors, when we're sitting like this, should feel like a pair of ropes. Sort of if you follow the hip bone in the front of your pelvis down with your fingers, and you get to the two meaty lumps right here. And you can be sure that you found them, because if you lift one leg up, they'll sort of pop up just like two little ropes there, yeah? So go ahead and take your hands in blade shapes, and I'm gonna take the outside of my hand and settle it into the crease of each leg, and I'm just gonna put some medium pressure down and sort of wave my legs around. And then I'm gonna rock back for a second and rock my thighs back and forth. And see if you can feel, so when I turn my legs in, an outer rope pops up in both legs. And when I turn my legs out, I can feel the inner pope. And the outer one is your vastus medialis. So that's the hip flexor that connects down the front of the thigh. It's a whole it's one of the 4 quadriceps, yeah? So go ahead and just lift your legs up here. Yeah, you can feel those hip flexors working, flexing the hip, right? And then go ahead and turn your knees out, and you can feel the hip flexor that's on the inner side, and that is your psoas, P-S-O-A-S, psoas, I like to say. It attaches to the inside of your thigh bone, goes across your hip, and it goes into your torso. I'm glad you guys will have a video about this. And it splits, so each side of your body has this iliopsoas muscle that is Y-shaped. So it attaches to the inside of the thigh, comes up, one part attaches to your hip bone, that's the ilium, and the other part goes through your body and attaches to your lower back. Yeah, so go ahead and waggle your legs like this. Maybe turn your knees out and lift your legs up. And you can kind of pinch those hip flexors just to get a feeling of those 2 ropes inside. And go ahead and do that for a moment while I grab a demonstrative item. So your psoas muscle, it attaches to the 4 bottom vertebrae in your spine. So let's imagine this is it, yeah? It's attaching to my lower back. It goes through my body and down and around to my inner thigh, yeah? So most of us sit all the time, and that means that this muscle, instead of having some slack in it, grows shorter through entropy. And if we have a short iliopsoas, then when we try to stand up, it sticks our booty out. And this creates unnecessary compression in your lower spine. And that is super, 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 super common. Like almost all of us suffer from this slight tilting forward. And then our backs get tired when we stand a long time. So that's why it's so important to love and care for our psoas and our hip flexors. So we're gonna bring our knees in, out, and down. Doesn't matter to me if your legs get all the way straight. They could be bent the whole time. But what works for your body, you could be sitting on a brick here. We're just gonna warm up these hip flexors. The other thing that seems contradictory about the iliopsoas muscle is that because it's short and that makes it feel tight because it's strained to get through a full range of motion, we often are surprised to learn that it can also be very weak. And one of the ways that you will recognize that it's weak is that if just sitting here, your buns are curled back and you're getting like fire in your hip flexors already, because your hip flexors are being used to help you sit up straight. As we strengthen the rest of the core, they will also help you support. So anytime we're here and you start feeling really tight there, just jiggle your legs out. You can do that anytime you want to shake out that tension. All right. Go ahead and come back to your easy pose. We're going to take a big breath in. We're going to exhale down the center. Go ahead and roll your head, neck, and shoulders. Big deep breath here. Let your head drop. Imagine water is running down your back, or rather up your back, over the nape of your neck, across your neck, over your skull. And let that visualization soften your neck. Go ahead and draw your belly up and in as you roll back up to upright. I'm going to take a big breath in, and we're going to sweep across diagonally. So now my chest is going over my right thigh, and I'm opening up the whole right side back. And notice how this makes my hip want to lift up the ground back there. So I want you to root that hip back down into the earth. So you're connecting your left hip while you reach to the right. Rooting down through the left hip. Inhale, open to the side. And rising up. Other arm. Just notice how your back's feeling today. Big breath. Exhale. Release that head and root down through the right hip. One more breath. And open to the left side. Inhaling up. Go ahead and put that left hand down instead of to your side behind your hip. We're going to reach diagonally back and switch arms. Reach diagonally back. Both arms up. Drop those shoulders down. Spread your arms open wide like you're going to catch a big fluffy cloud on your chest here. Come on in for a hug, cloud. And you'll notice those hip flexors right here. Woo, they're working, yeah? Can you jiggle them out? And instead, use your back muscles to squeeze, center your shoulder blades together to lift your heart. Go ahead and tip your chin just a little bit so you feel a nice long back of the neck. And let your hands both walk behind you. Fingertips forward, and we're gonna hollow out the core as we bend our elbows and sigh side to side. I'm pretty sore in my arms and my shoulders today, so I'm taking this time to wake up those muscles. Breathing into them, I'm going to circle my chest. I'll show you my chest from the side. Exhale. And I'm letting my hip flexors open here, as well as my fronts of my shoulders. I'm going to rotate the other direction. Start squeezing my elbows towards the center behind me. All right, pressing that chest forward, rising up. Exhale, switching feet. Big breath, rising up. Lean forward, and we're gonna pan our bodies across the space. And coming down to rest in the middle. Dropping your head, finding release. Rolling up. Opening that chest. Let's rotate to your left side, letting your hands come down. Recenter those shoulder blades and spiraling. And now I'm a little bit sideways to the camera so you can see how I want my spine to remain vertical, which is to say that I'm not going to let myself lean back and bend to get to the back, or sometimes people sort of slouch around to try and get more turned. But we want the individual muscles that hold each vertebrae to the one and to the vertebrae above it to get their workout here. So we want to stay totally vertical and have that be a really even internal deep twist. And you can place your hand on your thigh here if you like, but keep centering those shoulder blades back. That'll help you stay on top of your body. And let your nose and chin lead all the way around, and your eyes. So you're looking behind yourself, drawing your belly in, lengthening through the back of your neck. That sort of feels like part of that action is involved in tucking my chin in just a little bit. Finding your breath. Good. Let's inhale back to center. And exhale to the other side. Center your shoulder blades back. Center your belly in. And find your way deeper and deeper into that twist. Anchoring your shoulders down, letting your nose and chin and eyes travel. All right, coming back center. We're going to walk our hands back. You decide if you're ready to go down to your elbows. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. And we're going to change our feet now. We're going to give them a little soft moment, just bouncing open. So my soles of my feet are together now. I'm letting my hip flexors fall open. I'm super flexible here, so I would not be surprised if your body looks a little more like this. Yeah, that's fine. I just happen to be kind of weirdly open. All right, that said, I'm going to bring my shoulder blades together. And I'm going to open my chest upwards. And then I'm going to let my shoulders rise up and catch my neck. So I'm laying my neck on the top of my shoulders. And I'm trying to press my heart forward on that diagonal so that I'm really opening up the top of my deltoids, pectoralis muscles, all between the front of wherever your heart lies inside of your chest. All of that is being opened up. Exhale, sigh. Bring your belly down and your chin to your chest and walk up. We're going to scoop all the air up and open it out. Scoop it all up. Open our chest. Go ahead and hold on to your knees. Lift your heart a little higher. Tuck your chin a little bit to feel the back of your neck lengthen. Soften through those lower backs now. We're going to hold on to the legs and curve your back as much as you can. Imagine you're doing cat-cow. I'm really trying to take especially my lower back way back into the mat. And I'm hollowing up. So I'm lifting my pelvic floor and my belly lock in. And I'm pressing back, stretching between my shoulder blades. You can wave your neck around a little bit if that feels good to you. Feels really good to me right now. All right, we're going to come back to center. We're going to center our legs. You can take something lightweight that you have between your knees, like a t-shirt or a towel or a roll of toilet paper. I wouldn't recommend the brick of sodas or a small pillow or nothing. Don't have to, but we're going to keep our focus on holding those legs together for the abs here. All right? So we're holding our legs together. So that fires up our inner thighs, our adductors. We're going to sweep those arms up. And we're going to exhale. And remember, all the time we're hollowing up. So lifting up through the pelvic floor, hollowing in like you're trying to press your intestines into the base of your rib cage. And I'm going to stretch my body long. I'm going to bring my arms up, head, neck, and shoulders. I'm going to look at that belly and press it up in the air for a moment. And then I'm going to do the opposite and pull it in. Trying to bring my lower back to the mat. I'm going to reach up, crawl up your pants rather than jumping. Yeah. come on back down. Hollowing in, stretching your arms. Take your time. Can you really articulate your vertebrae? Head, neck, shoulders, upper back, middle back. If you want to jump here, crawl on your legs instead. Coming up, bend those legs. A little faster. Spread it out. Stretch like you just woke up. Coming up. I'm going to move my brick down a little lower so I can get a little more squeeze. Rolling down. Spreading up. Curling up, head, neck, shoulders. Gently forward. Rise up. 3, 2, 1. Take your legs off the ground. Still squeezing that brick. You're going to pulse them in. Shoulders are off the ground, hollowing up. Pulse. Rocking up. And let your brick drop. Go ahead and fall into a butterfly pose. Find your way to your squat. And you can do this by walking yourselves around. That's how most people do it. But if you're feeling spry, you can also begin the action of rocking forward. So before we do that, let's just take a moment to talk about how that rock works, because you might want to do it one day. So let's do a little broken down version. So I'm sitting here on my sits bones. I'm really a little bit behind. And I know that I'm going to want to get my weight of my head and my pelvis over these feet. So one of the things that's key about actually getting there is that you will be sending your head out here into this space over here, like where the cat's head is in 2 dimensions. But the other thing is that I roll on my back. And so let's do a move called rolling like a ball from Pilates, because it's a great abdominal exercise. So I'm going to tuck my hands underneath my knees here. And you'll notice as I'm started that I'm pretty much slouching, yeah? I'm curled in my upper body to keep my weight there. But what we'd like to do is start by getting our weight forward using the muscles of the lower back. And of course, also that's your hip flexor is going to be firing there. So when I'm sitting upright, I'm using my lower back and my hip flexors to keep this vertical spine. But when I'm rolling like a ball, I'm going to curve everything just like we did in that roll down action. So I'm hollowing in my core and I'm going to roll back to my middle back or my shoulders, but never as far as your neck, because your neck doesn't need all that pressure, yeah? So we're going to rock it up, and I'm doing a little kick with my legs, but that's really something you want to work towards doing with your core. And then when you roll forward, you'll feel your feet hit the ground and your knees do part a little bit to let your chest come forward. Let's do just that. Rock, lift your hips, knees part. I'm going to turn forward so you can see another direction, yeah? All right, so sitting up nice and tall. Maybe I need to turn sideways. I don't think I have enough room. I'm going to curve the body. I'm going to rock back. I'm going to come forward, open my legs, and reach through. Yeah? One more time. I'm going to try and do it here. Yeah, I think I have enough room. Okay. Rolling back and reaching through. And then, of course, once I've reached through, I need to re-squeeze my legs together to get my weight on top of my feet. Yeah? Oh, I see it! It's happening! Falling is part of the learning process, so have a chuckle. You are on your way. And remember that that is always optional, yeah? You never need to do the roll, but it's fun when you can. Oh, look at my brave students. I love seeing you guys try things new. All right, big breath in. We'll keep trying that, so don't worry about moving on right now. And open it out. Up and over. Inhale up, flat back. Take a moment to check in with all of your centering activities. So we're pulling our thighs together. We're hollowing in our bellies. We're pulling our shoulder blades back in together. We're lifting our chin in so that the neck lengthens along that center line. Just really feel that reached feeling for a moment. Before you move on, sigh, we'll take you back down. And we're gonna step your right leg back into high lunge. Rock forward, rock back. Rock forward, rock back. Rock forward, rock back. One more rock forward, rock back. And now we're going to lift up with the core. We're gonna lift up. So I'm really hollowing up my pelvic floor and lower belly here, and then I'm going to yield downwards. I'm gonna send my pelvis towards the mat. We call this the 4 directions of a lunge, and they are true for all lunges. So inhale, curl up, and exhale, yield down. Inhale, lift. It can get a little smaller, or you can really focus on stretching that front leg, whatever feels good for you today, and then exhale back down deep. Good. Go ahead and look underneath yourself. Change your back foot to warrior 1. Recenter those thighs so you're squaring your hips and pressing up to warrior 1. All right, now let's check that alignment again. My front knee wants to reach forward. Check. It's over the ankle. It's over the second toe. My back leg is turned out, but my hips have no longer stayed square. So it might be a little bit too big for today. I'm going to step it in a little bit, squeeze my inner thighs together to get square again. Now for up and down in your warrior 1, up does involve lifting up your core, but it also involves this back thigh. And this is low priority for me. Perfectly straight back leg is low priority for me. Yeah? Well, I would much rather that you have a little bit of softness in the knee, except in warrior 1, you don't want that softness to point down. Yeah? And one of the ways you can tell if that's happening is because your arch here will start to ache and collapse. In warrior 1, you got to use those external rotators that are under your buns here, and that will help you feel like the whole foot is touching the ground, even the outside edge of this ankle. All right, there's your up, is the thigh is rising up. Down is still down into that bent leg. Let's breathe it in. Exhale. Breathe it in. Exhale as you open your arms. Breathe it in. Take those hands all the way down to the mat. We're going to change our back leg back to high lunge. You can choose whether it's a modified plank or a plank as you step back into your plank or modified plank. And chaturanga vinyasa. So we lower ourselves slowly through those bent arms, keeping the elbows in. Inhale. Baby cobra, full cobra. Big deep breath, whatever you choose. Keep those legs coming together. And back up. Through your modified plank or full plank to downward dog or child's pose. Big deep breaths. And unless you're having those issues with headache and dizziness in your downward dog, for those folks, do keep your head up above your heart a little bit. For everybody else, I really want you to feel the feeling of exhaling, pressing your arms into the mat so that your ribs come to your thighs and your head dangles down. And from there, we work towards more extended, straightish legs. But that's not the priority. Priority is open chest. You can be getting a leg stretch without having straight legs here. Go ahead and walk your dog, and that means you are bending and straightening one leg at a time. Big breath in. We're going to imagine someone's lifting us up by our core. So curl in the middle like you're doing a cat pose. Exhale, bend everything. In fact, come all the way down. When we come down, can you bring your elbows parallel and your forearms parallel? All right, we're gonna place our weight back into those hands and stay bent knees, bent arms. We're gonna bounce a little bit here. Bouncy, 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 bounce. Big breath in. Exhale, collapse into those bent knees. When you're empty, push off and hop your feet towards your hands as many hops or steps as you need. You're back to your forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Find your center. Exhale, soften. Bend those knees, rising up. Good job. Inhaling up. Exhaling, soften your knees on your way down to your forward fold. Find flat back, center squeeze. Exhale down, left leg back, high lunge. And we're rocking back and forth. I definitely am using my spider fingers here. And I'm gonna now settle my hips down. Inhale, lift my belly up. Exhale, down. A few more breaths. Inhale, curve. Exhale, down. And I notice as I am going down, I'm also thinking about reaching that front knee forward and the back heel back, right? So all 4 directions at once in high lunge. Good. Soften up just a little bit. Step your back leg back to warrior one. Find the warrior one where you can hold the turnout and the square hips. And rise on up, friends. Centering. One way to think about centering also is to think about this back leg sweeping closed behind you. Almost like, I'm going to hold the wall here for a second. Almost like this back leg is trying to kick to the center line. And that action of squeezing this back leg to the center line, when your foot is planted in the earth, then at the top of your thighs it causes your hips to get square because you're using your adductors to squeeze, and so that pulls this hip into the thigh there. Big breath. All right, hands to the floor. Change your back foot. Step back to your high lunge or your modified high lunge. Either way, I want your elbows to graze your sides as you lean your heart forward in front of your fingertips to come down through chaturanga. Exhale. Center to come up. Back up. Downward dog. All right. Bringing your legs all the way together in downward dog, softening those arms just a little bit. And if you're on a chair while you do this, that's fine too. With your hands on a chair too. You're going to take your right leg and we're going to cross it behind the left leg. And I just want you to squeeze those thighs together. Squeeze those thighs together. Good, good, good. Can you put your right foot, the toes, on your back ankle? And if you had a little close-up view of the camera here, you'd see that my toes, the big toe is on one side and the rest of my toes are on the other side of my Achilles tendon. So I'm really like latching it in there. Yeah? I'm going to squeeze those thighs together. I'm going to lift up in my core. I'm going to soften my knees and I'm going to shift forward into the plank. Good, soften, press back. Now take that right leg out wide and you're gonna walk yourself over a little bit and I'm gonna take my left hand to my right leg and twist. Finding your breath. Hands back. Come square yourself back to your regular downward dog. And now your left leg is going to squeeze behind the right leg, squeezing fiercely, centering those legs, squeezing them together. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Squeeze your elbows towards each other. Drop that chest a little lower. Find your breath, my friends. All right, then lace your toes around the back ankle. Yeah, it's okay if your foot's still on the floor. If you want to do a little bit less balancing, you can put your foot on the floor here or the back of the ankle. I'm going to keep my hands where they are and bend my elbows and try and get my heart in front of my toes during this plank. Abs in. Center those legs, squeeze them together, friends. Press into your knuckles and fingers. Find your breath. Good, press it back. Wide left leg, walk across and twist the body towards that leg. If you need a break in that wrist, you can push up off the hand or you can stay in it, get deeper down. Good, swing your hands out, bring your legs together, come down to child's pose and flip those wrists over, press your knuckles into the mat and then press your wrists past your knuckles. Disappointed flamingo hands. Go ahead and rest your head. 3 breaths. All right, flip those wrists back over, pull them in, chest forward, tuck your toes coming to your puppy, woof, woof. Press back to your downward dog. All right, we're gonna do a warming motion here, so this should take some effort. We're gonna press back with our hips and bend our legs, and then we're gonna shoot forward towards your plank, yeah? 3 or 4 times, we're gonna go inhale back, exhale plank. You can come down to your knees or you can keep the whole thing smaller. So let me show you a smaller version. Smaller version would be here. Yeah? Full version is press way back, shoot way forward. Inhale back, exhale forward. Squeeze those legs together. On your next one, hop. Hang there, friends. Inhale halfway up. Center that flat back. Exhale, soften. Good job. Feeling warm now? We're gonna take our right leg forward and grab it. It's okay to hold on to the back of the chair or a wall. Notice if your hip went up with your leg, drop it back down by squeezing your thighs together. Open it out to the side. Take your knee down. Gently grab your ankle. Point your knee to the floor. Now you should feel your thighs stretching here, but if you are also really using that root lock and belly lock, then you can pull the thigh away from the pelvis and feel your hip flexors also get a stretch. You could grab with both hands perhaps, or maybe you can't grab at all and you're just holding on to your pants. You can totally hold on to your pants. Yeah, but what I do want you to do is keep that heel into its own buttock. Yeah, so don't take the heel to the side of your body just to get a grip. If you have a strap, you can try that with a strap. I'll show it on the other side. Let's do the other side. All right, so the left knee's coming up. Good, good, good. Notice that hip. Maybe even experiment with lifting it up to see if you did lift your hip up and you just didn't realize it yet. And then squeeze the pelvis back towards the other inner thigh. Standing up tall, pressing into your standing legs. So you're pressing the foot away. You're radiating through your skull. I'm going to take my left hand and rotate that thigh out to the side. You can counterbalance with your other hand. Still trying to really sit that hip down. All right, switch. So if you have a strap, you can wrap the strap around your ankle and you can hold on to the strap. And most of us tend to allow that knee to come forward a little bit, which would still give you a quad stretch if you pulled it in tight. But to get into the hip flexor, again, we're going to lift our core. We're going to drop our tailbone and think about your very tip of your tailbone going underneath. Sometimes I like to say, if you were like a dog with a big fluffy tail, right? That you would then reach through and imagine your tailbone coming underneath you, yeah? And it's not that we're actually getting to a hinge at this point, although you could, but just that we're trying to counterbalance that permanent position that most of us have of the psoas holding our tailbone out rather than the tailbone vertical. Glutes notwithstanding, we're talking about the bone between your cheeks. If you can grab with both hands, great, give it a try. All right, release that. Time check, great. We're gonna come on down with your brick. And I'm gonna take my right knee back. And I'm gonna put this brick somewhere to the side of my other foot. And now we were just talking about how lifting your leg often lifts your hips. So look what's happening here with my hips. They're lifted, yeah? So I'm gonna drop my hips down so they're vertical. And you notice this makes this hip look like it's going like away sideways, and my thigh has gotten really sideways here. So a little bit of that happens, but I am sort of adjusting all of those elements to find square. All right. I'm going to turn to the side. We're going to do deep hip openers next. Yeah, so if you have something to hold on to, that's great. If you don't, you can reach for the floor. It's just a little bit further. But first, we're going to start in this proposal position. Yeah, hips down, square. And we're going to start, I'm tight today. I'll be on an adventure, that's for sure. I'm going to start by doing essentially cat-cow. Yeah, but I'm really thinking about the cat-cow motion in my pelvis, yeah? So that means I'm gonna tuck that dog tail underneath, and then I'm gonna flip it back, arch my back as I rock back. Good grief. Sorry, I'm having a lot of do not disturb restriction issues, so I apologize that I keep being distracted by my... There, fixed. Okay, go ahead and dip that in a little bit further. And you really want to feel this in your hip flexors as they cross the hip, yeah? Now, how about your knee? Some of you are probably feeling some discomfort being on the knee, so take something soft underneath there. If you don't have a pillow around, you can take your own mat. This is a pretty thick mat, but you can roll up your regular yoga mat to put your knee on that, and then do this exercise on the folded part. And that'll give you a little bit more cushion underneath. You don't want to feel like you're right on your kneecap here. And this one, you're a little bit closer to the shin. Yeah. All right. All right, we're gonna walk our hands forward, and this is where you're gonna come to that brick. I'm gonna go back to my pale background. So you can rest on this front thigh, but do triple check that your knee and toe are pointed straight forward. And you're gonna curl up, so I'm hinged up, and you're gonna press that hip open, really opening the back hip. You can choose whether to point or flex the back foot. All right, rest there. Check your front leg. Make sure the knee and toe are together. Walk yourself a little lower. Now, if you're super tight in a pigeon, you can take your brick or pad, or I wouldn't recommend it with a hard thing, but if you have a pillow or something, you can stick it under this hip. We're going to come with our arms a bit forward and let the hip drop more and the knee opens. Let me turn so you can see that. So I'm going to come a little bit lower, and I'm going to let my front leg open up. And notice that my front foot, I'm now going onto the side of that foot. If you're feeling any tension in the knee here or the ankle, flex that foot so that you have more ease in rotating, keeping the knee and the toe together as that thigh opens. Yeah, you don't want to be like putting your toe forward and opening your knee out, because it gets less comfortable. Okay, find your breath. Oof. If you can find your elbows, great. Oh, find breath. Remember, your edge is what you're looking for. You want to go somewhere where you can hang out. So if you go somewhere and it's too intense and you got to back up, it's okay to back up, but don't just keep going down to that place where you can't stay. Go right where you can hang there for the day, and that'll give you a better chance of hanging a little bit deeper next time. Whew, I am tight today. That's good that we're doing this, because that means we'll all feel better next time, hopefully. Okay, let's walk it up. We're going to take our whole body back for a counter pose and just stretch the hamstring of the leg that was in the front. I'm going to turn sideways again. All right, so you're back here stretching your left hamstring. I'm going to scooch to sit down. Still left hamstring is long, but I'm going to open my right foot. So now I have a middle stretch, and I'm going to lean forward directly over the middle of the foot with my thighs even on either side of me. So I'm stretching in the middle here. This long leg is going to try and roll forward. So I'm going to support it with my wrist or my fist underneath it to keep the knee pointed up at the ceiling. All right, rolling up. Go ahead and gather that knee in, and we're gonna sneak in front of our bodies here. Yeah, so this is your right leg just sitting on the floor like a butterfly stretch. Your left leg is open, knee up, and you're gonna try and pick your ribs inside of that thigh. Yeah, so it might be much more expanded on your body. You might be just getting the elbow there, and that's fine. But then remember, we talked about rolling like a ball earlier. I'd like you to use your back to lift your heart forward and see if you can press that elbow into that knee. Yeah? Okay. If you're a little bit closer, see if you can get your armpit and your rib cage onto the inner thigh. If you're closer still, you can sneak an arm underneath and wrap it around that foot. That's a lot. All right, wherever you are with your attachment between your left hand and foot, I'd like you to shift back onto both hips and see if you can lift that leg off the floor, even just a little bit. Here's the expanded version. Bust up A, B, C. All right, take it back down. We're going to bring both of our knees together to transition back, and we're going to go through those things as a flow. All right, knee down, hip rocks. Take your hands to your pelvis. All right, you're deep in your low lunge. Low lunge is like a high lunge with the knees down. I'm going to take my outside, left hand, left foot, and I'm going to press my knee into my hand, actively trying to open that thigh. So I'm opening my leg into my hand, opening that direction. Open, 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 open. Release. Draw back and back forward. And now I'm going to place my hand on the inside. My arm's going to sweep out. My thigh's going to pull in. Squeezing in, squeezing in, squeezing in, squeezing in, squeezing in. Center, 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 center. Whew. My obliques are apparently working too. Squeeze it in, squeeze it in. Square those hips, squeeze it in, square those hips, squeeze it in, square those hips. and release. And notice that your hip's getting a little softer. And shift forward into the open front knee. Open front knee. If you want to deepen that stretch, you can walk your hips back. All right. Pulling your hips back, turning it into that hamstring stretch for that left leg. Drop your chest, and we're gonna flow through the chest here. Inhale, ripple up. Exhale, down. 3 of those inchworm flows. Inhale, ripple up. You can follow your own breath. All right, you're hanging here. Here's our next addition. You're going to inhale up, and you're going to take your body slightly outside of the front leg and stretch there. All right, come forward. Open up the back leg. Sitting down wide. In the middle. Use that ripple spine breath to get deeper and deeper. Remember, this long leg can be as up as it needs to be. You want to feel your inner thigh stretching on your body. Not a lot of tension underneath the knee, because that's the tendons. We want to stretch the muscle instead. Rolling up. Gather that knee, lean to the side. All right, leaning straight to the side on a bent knee, everybody. Can you release your head? And softly rock it like a big yes. Taking your right hand, can you open it behind your chest? Big yes. Good, come on up. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see where my back hand is going. So you can just take your hand somewhere to the back of your body here and grab onto your shirt is bus stop A. You can grab a bit higher if that's an easier place for you. Where you're seeking to go is to send your arm all the way across the back of your body and then start to sneak your hands into the crease between your shirt and your leg. And eventually catch your thigh with your hands. And that is really hard to do if you're looking towards that side, right? Because your arm gets dragged back. So if we spiral our spine away from that leg, it's easier to sneak your hand around to find one day either your shirt or your thigh. So go ahead and twist towards the right side and I'm using my right arm. No, I'm using my left arm on my right leg to help myself twist to find this arm bind. And then lean over your leg and let your neck release. Finding your breath. And rise up. Unwind. Shake it out. Okay. All right, 2 times through that flow now on the opposite side. So we're gonna have our brick next to our left hand, right knee is gonna be forward. We're starting with that position that's much like a proposal, right? Will you go to prom with me? Lift it forward, take it back, tuck it underneath. Remember here, you're trying to open up those tight hip flexors. You can use your brick and start to work into a low lunge. Still waving through the body. I'm going to bring it back up because I know that for me, my body tries to avoid this stretch by opening the hips, and that I'm more flexible wide than I am parallel. And so for me, I'm going to bring myself out of the floor so that where I'm working is really in those hip flexors and not just in the place where it's comfortable for me to stretch. So hip flexors is the feeling I want you to focus on having. Let's find our breath. Relaxing my shoulders, focusing on the focus instead of letting everything else try and help too much. And then now shift forward and open that front knee. All right, pressing back to your hamstring stretch. Now your right hamstring is stretching. I like to do a little rock here and explore whether my right hip can go further to the back of the room. Big breath in. Exhale, wave the spine down. Inhale, ripple up. Exhale, wave the spine down. Inhale, ripple up. Try and release your head and neck. Find your breath. All right, we're going to switch to an open stance. Now your left leg is in that butterfly position, your right leg is bent and open, and I'm using my right arm to support that leg so that the knee is pointing either straight up or slightly behind yourself as you go into the stretch. That leg can stay as bent as you need. We want to keep the stretch out of the knee and into the center of the thigh and the adductors. We're trying to keep our hips going straight forward between the legs. There will be quite a draw for your body and your hips to twist towards the bent leg. So resist that and try and come straight forward. All right, rolling it up. Leaning towards it, finding your spot here. If you're quite wide, bust up A might just be grabbing with your hands and reaching forward. Maybe the elbow gets to the knee. Maybe the ribs start to get to the knee. Eventually your armpit is against the thigh and you're wrapping your arm underneath. But we're trying to sneak our rib cage past the thigh. That's the eventual goal. So we're trying to get forward with the side of the ribs. Side body's in front of this thigh here. All right, we're gonna take our weight back. Remember that feeling of centering your shoulders will help to lift your shoulder blades and your back up over your hips. And then we're gonna try and lift that leg up. Bust up A version. Whoop, that's it. It's hard when it's hard. It's hard for your body when it's hard. Grab your calf or your ankle for bust up B. Notice how we all really wanna slouch here. So once you get a little millimeter off the floor, bring back to center body, yeah? right, come on down. Legs together. Back to the top. Starting with those hip rocks. My goodness. Remember your dog tail, your fluffy dog tail going underneath you, squaring those hips. And leaning into your low lunge. Remember, knee and toe together in the front. Working your way lower. You can rock back and forth. Getting a little lower, letting your front leg open, front thigh rocks to the side of the heel or side of the foot. All right, breathing back. Come back to your high lunge. Use this brick to hold on to. And we're gonna press our knee out. I'm gonna face front this time so you can see from that direction. All right, placing my hand on the outside of that thigh, and I'm gonna externally and laterally move my knee out. So I'm pressing with my outside of hip muscles. Pressing, pressing, pressing. Fierce, fierce pressure. Release. Rock it back. Come on forward. Taking the arm on the inside now. I'm going to press my leg in. So I'm squeezing in, squeezing in, squeezing in, squeezing in, squeezing in. You can be up or down. Squeezing in, 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 squeezing in. Ah, release. Take it back. Shifting forward, rock out. All right, come on out of that. Back to your hamstring stretch. 3 spine ripples and then next spine ripple you're going to take outside of the leg. Keep pulling that hip back in space. It would be amazing if you could feel this on the outside of your leg. So external hamstrings, IT band. And release it. Open wide. And relax in the middle, starting with bent leg. Let it just hang for a moment.
She just wants beautiful she goes, unnoticed she knows.
ahead and lean your chest over. And let's take a moment, come back up, using those shoulder blades to draw your chest open. And we're gonna lean our head to that shoulder. Big, slow, yes, with your whole head and neck. So we're releasing the whole side of your left side of your neck and shoulder. All right, inhale. Taking your left hand behind you, let it just hang there a little bit to increase the neck stretch. It's basically counterbalancing your head. There's often so much tension here in the sides of our neck because we basically never give ourselves permission to really release there. So here's your moment. All right, rocking back up, catch your foot, put it back down. We're gonna walk the hand behind you, okay? From there, I'm gonna turn again. You're shooting for that rock. So you could be grabbing your shirt in the middle, you could grab your shirt a little higher, or you could start wrapping that hand around. So my forearm is basically along the top edge of my pelvis, and the back of my palm is against my hip so that my fingertips can try and catch the thigh. And it helps to push with your opposite hand. So big twist, see if you can catch. Big stretch in the front of that arm that's back for sure. Finding your breath. And release. Coming back to your child's pose, flip those wrists over. All right, roll up, big breath in. Now it's time to put all of the elements together. We've opened up our hip flexors, our hamstrings, and our inner thighs. We've talked about twisting the spine and the around the back arm balance. So now we're gonna come back up to standing. If you wanna grab a sip of water, here we're gonna go through our last little standing pose challenges. All right, when you're ready, we're going to be working on the sides. Go ahead and find your center. Take a big breath. Let's go ahead and grab your hands behind your back. And take that tailbone to vertical. Lean your head to one side, then the other. Big breath in. All right, we're gonna bring your heart rate back up a little bit because we just did a slow, deep stretch. So let's take a big, huge breath in, and then we're gonna swing like a wave. Soft knees. Inhale, big breath in, and bend your knees, swing. All right, coming back center, let's take our hands to our pelvis. Send your right leg back. Your warrior 3. Bus stop A on the floor. B, use your glutes, no toes. C, tipping your hips. D, all the way flat. E, release your arms to the front. Find your place, find your breath, friends. Feel that center line, squeeze it. Stepping back, high lunge. We're gonna open all the way to warrior two. Roll your shoulders for me. Expand along that horizon. Front knee over your toe. Tailbone dropping down like we discussed. Big breath in with your arms. Exhaling. How's your back leg? Are you centering? If you feel your ankle really like sloshing out over the back side, remember to pull your thighs a little bit together. All right, we're gonna have a bit of a challenge here today, but I also really want you to take this moment while we're breathing and realize how much knowledge you guys have gained in these 3 weeks. How many poses you guys have gotten into your bodies that we can now move forward in flows more quickly. Big breath in. Give yourself some gratitude. Elbow down to that knee. Look down, make sure your knee and toe are aligned. Even if both are a little bit in, I'd rather them be aligned than not. Booties, swing them underneath yourself. Arms up, side angle, big breath. I'm gonna turn to the side so you can see a little better. You guys stay right there. All right, big breath. Inhaling, the arm comes up. Open that chest and armpit. Paint your hand across the back wall. Go ahead and roll up. Warrior two, straighten, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. Tip into your triangle. If you'd like today, you have a support. You can place it on the inside of your front leg. It's a really nice way to focus on squaring those hips, revolving those ribs, rolling your shoulders, and centering through the spine as you work in your triangle. Let's look up at our hand today for a moment. Beyond the hand to the ceiling. To the front down, soften that front knee, make sure it's knee and toe aligned. And now you're shifting back to your side angle. Go ahead and lay that arm on your side and notice if your booty's still up in that semi-sassy triangle way. And we're gonna sink down, increasing the crease in the lower hip. You're shooting for vertical front knee here. Yeah, vertical. I'm not quite there yet myself. Not today, and that's fine. This is great. Big breath in with the arm. We're gonna take your hand and facing the palm back, think about the thumb swinging behind you. Oh look, here we are at that hand bind. So can you grab the back of your short or maybe even the inner thigh in your side angle? You can stay on that brick if you like. And let your gaze stay forward. And then here's the wild part. Release your neck. All right, we're gonna softly come back up. Warrior two. Turn your head back front. Whew. Square back to high lunge, changing your back leg softly. Stepping together. Release your head before you come up. You can place your hands on that brick even. Just take a moment. Oh, a big deep breath. Bringing your hands to namaste, drop your shoulders down your back, open your heart forward, and centering through your hands, your root lock, your belly lock, and your thighs. Hover with your eyes closed. Maybe 60% of your weight is in the balls of the feet. And you feel yourself lifting forward with an open heart. Find your breath. 3 more breaths here, just feeling your balance. Feeling that balance. and here we go. Release those hands. Gather up. Left leg. Warrior 3. Toes on the ground. A, B. Lift your leg with your glute. Long lower back, my friends. Tip it forward. C in the middle. D. Getting flat. E. Reach your arms. Center line. Stepping back, high line. Turning out to warrior 2. Adjust as you need. If you need a moment to shake those hips out, take it. Draw your thighs to the center, opening up the front knee. Sink into it. Notice if it feels really different on one side or the other. Mine definitely does today. Turning to the side. You guys are staying right there. All right, let's breathe. Soften those shoulders. Center, tailbone, knee open, back leg straight. Gratitude. Big breath in, front elbow down to your front knee for side angle. Arm above your head. Desassify those hips. Sink them in, sink them in. Moving with intention and compassion, probably having some fatigue in different muscles at this point, and that's good. We want to respect that. Up and back, warrior 2. Straighten front leg. Heel toe your back leg a little narrower for your triangle so that you can really swing those hips out to the side. Make sure we're not hyperextending in the knee. Use your brick today if you have one. And in my class, if you find using a support here today that you just love how it feels, you are welcome to do that anytime we have class. I don't mind if you add in a brick even when I'm not using it, or if you want to know how to add a brick or a prop in, feel free to ask. That could be one of the things that that you suggest in the beginning of class when I ask you guys if you have any special requests. You can ask me to use a prop, and then if folks have one or don't, I'll offer both modifications. All right, we're gonna take our arms down a little bit so that we can soften this front knee, both legs. Neat. And I'm gonna transfer my elbow back to my knee. Ease back into it. Finding your side angle. Palm to the back room. Thumb comes down around. Sneak it around to your back of your shirt or your thigh and face straight forward, and then release your neck. Rising up, warrior 2. Back up. Rotate square. High lunge, step together. Almost done with your head. Walk that forward fold. All right, Rolling on up. Last time through, rise up with your chest, going directly to your warrior 3. Arms come back. Lift your chest up higher, bend your front knee. Back leg. Center, center for the swan. Woo! That back leg has to use that outward motion to help you balance. Open up to warrior 2. All right, here's our last one. Big breath in. From your warrior 2, we're going to take it straight down to that side angle. Now, earlier we sat on the floor and we put our side of the body against the thigh. We're going to replicate that here in our side angle. You can use your brick to get a little closer, or not. If you can, wrap your arm around. And you're going to use the bind from before to find the back of your shirt and the leg, or the two things connect. Let me roll it back a little bit, yeah? Side angle, elbow, bust stop A. Your hands just coming to your hips. A little soft here, trying to open, and you're going to grab your thigh. So this is bust stop A. Yeah? Bust stop A. Bust stop B. Maybe grab a calf. C, D, arm comes all the way around. And I'm going to turn around so you can see what the arm balance is when you're at E, okay? I'm sorry, here's the arm bind, not arm balance, arm bind. My thigh and chest are together. My armpit is touching my back of my, inside of my knee, and I'm going to hold hands with myself. And then I'm going to fix this booty, which is sticking out, and I'm going to bring it back in line with my 2 feet. From here, release those arms, come up. Okay, remember how we were heel toeing back together to get to the triangle? We're gonna use that same sort of task, but I'm gonna sort of hop that back foot. Yeah? Let's try the other side. Almost done, guys. This is your final push, and then we're gonna rest. All right, stabilize this leg with the outside push, or if you're falling this way, then you want to push out like we practiced, yeah? So I certainly have to think about leaning that knee out to keep it straight over the other one. Chest lift, bend the knee. Good. Settle it back. Excellent, guys. Excellent. Opening to your warrior 2, straight down to that side angle. Open up your chest. Find your A, B, C, D, E. Butt back underneath you, find your breath. And I'm trying to roll my shoulders back to open as well as sliding my buns underneath. All right, release your arm bind, wherever that was, and hop that back foot in. Okay, this is our last time through. We're gonna combine those last 2 things, yes? I know, you guys are like, what? One more? One more. Swish, right leg back. Flow to that swan. You guys are doing so much today. Open up to warrior 2. Down to your side angle. Find your side angle bind. Realign it once you've gotten grabbed on. All right. Remember your edge. So you're going to be up at A if you're at A. Just keep holding on to that leg at A and start hopping your foot in. When your bottom foot is under your hips, straighten your back. Good. Stay there. Try and hold that pose. Bird of paradise. Woo! My bird of paradise is wilting. Release. Come center. Shake it off. Laugh it out. All right, last one. Left side. Big breath in. Stepping back, open warrior 2. Exhale down, side angle. Find your arm bind. Re-dunk those hips. Hold. Back foot steps in. Now if you're just holding your thigh at the thigh, that's great. It's so good, just practicing, regaining your balance. Yeah, whatever you're holding on to is great. Point your tailbone over that heel, pressing into that leg. Lengthening through both legs. Radiate, radiate, radiate. And let it go. Shake it out. We're going to move our way down to the floor. Down to the floor, friends. You did it. Go ahead and open your arms like a cactus. Let your knees drop, windshield wiper side to side. Feeling that open chest. Working your way towards your Shavasana with a few more breaths. And let your head tilt side to side. Come center with the skull. Nod your head yes. And notice how when we drop our chin, our back of the neck gets longer, and see if we can hang on to that long neck feeling. And then we're going to take our jaw and just shift the jaw to the right, center, left, center, right, center, left, center. And softly open the jaw with your tongue touching the roof of your mouth. And close it, and then drop it open. Just soft, gentle movements in the jaw. So we're moving that jaw in order to recognize how to release it. All right, let your jaw hang down. You should definitely have 1.5 chins going on. And we're going to take our elbows towards our side bodies and unfurl those arms like vines opening up to the sun. Let your chest and heart remain open. Big breath in through the nose. Exhale. And shift all your breathing in and out through the nose. Slowing it down. Feeling your heartbeat in your chest, that big old bass drum of life. And let that rhythm slow down to half time as your breath gets longer. Gently bringing your breath back into your chest and letting your face come back alive and starting to stretch your body. Roll to the side. Walk it up. We did a lot with your hips today, so you might feel later today or tomorrow soreness, or that they kind of like ratchet themselves back a little bit. So don't be afraid to give them some gentle massage or gentle stretching if you feel like they're a little bit spooked, so to speak. Yeah. Also, it's normal to feel sore 24 to 48 hours after you do a workout that's really different than what we've done before. So that would be, what's today? Thursday. So like Saturday, Sunday, you might be sore then, and that wouldn't be a cause for concern. If you're feeling sore like right now and it continues all the way through those 3 days, that means we probably did too much. So please tell me about that if you feel like you have had an experience that was good or bad for you. I'd love to hear how our different practice today affected you. Thank you for sharing with me. It's always an honor that you spend this time with me. I wouldn't be here if you weren't here too. So thank you. See you next week.